What's up? What's up? What's up? You are listening to her in the huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM, just coming off of a holiday. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Let's go ahead and get into it. So, Eddie should be joining us momentarily. No Brandy today. So, it is me as of right now. Hopefully, everybody had a wonderful holiday, and it is Tuesday. It is officially the start of football week. So just in a couple of days, we're going to have Thursday night football. So that is very exciting. And Cleveland Browns will be taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. So we got some news today that Joe Burrow will be starting. He does have a strained calf, but it looks like he's going to be starting. And let's see who plays on Thursday night football on Thursday. Um, I don't know who plays on Thursday night football, so we're going to figure that out. Um, week one schedule. So here we go. No teams have a bye this week. Week one, Thursday night football. Let's look that up really quickly. All right, it says week 2, 9/14. So there should be a week one. So the Vikings take on the Eagles. It says Thursday, 9/14, week 2. But I want to know who plays week one. There should be a Thursday game. Usually there is Thursday night football. So that's kind of weird to me. But how excited are you for the Cleveland Browns to start playing? I know I'm super excited. I'm ready. I've been ready. Excuse me. Hey, Dylan, I see you. What's up, sir? How you doing? Um, but the Cleveland Browns are going to be playing on Sunday. We've waited for this day for 6 months since the last game, and I'm really excited. You know, they've made a bunch of improvements on offense. They've made some improvements on defense, and they look like they're ready to go. You know, they didn't really have necessarily the best preseason. I believe they went 1-2, and they had a tie. I believe 1-2-1 because they played that Hall of Fame game. But people can look forward positively to the start of this season. And lots of improvements have been made on both sides of the ball. You got some decent receivers. You have pretty much had the same as running back, but there's also been some upgrades to the defense too, where you got a new defensive coach because unfortunately Joe Woods wasn't able to get the job done. But you got Jim Schwartz, who has a long history, pretty much been an NFL lifer. So you brought him to turn this defense around. And when they played the Kansas City Chiefs, you got a little bit of a look at them to see how they were going to perform, and they performed pretty well starting off with those drives. So one of the things that is going to be important is the contributions of Deshaun Watson. You sign this guy, he's your franchise quarterback. You paid him $239 million, and you want to get the most out of him for $239. 239 millions. Oh, thank you, Dylan. Lion versus Chiefs, Thursday night football, week one. So the upstart Lions with Dan Campbell versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Just some news dropped recently. Travis Kelce injured himself in practice, so they're trying to see what's going on with him. That could be devastating for the Kansas City Chiefs because they rely on Travis Kelce in their passing game. So that could be really bad for them. So we're going to be finding out soon what's going to be taking place with him. So we shall definitely see. But back to the Cleveland Browns. So Sunday will definitely be exciting. They take on the Cincinnati Bengals at home. And football season is here. This is something that we've waited for since the end of the Super Bowl, and it's going down to the next 17 weeks, and then a bunch of playoffs are going to be taking place. So, what do we think the Browns will do against the Bengals? They historically, the past few years, played very well against the Bengals. The year before last, they went 1-1 against them, but before that, they swept them. So, the Cincinnati Bengals are coming in very hungry because of what they haven't been able to do against the Cleveland Browns. And, they played in the AFC title game, losing to Kansas City on a flag that, like I said, magically when a team is playing Kansas City, there's all of a sudden a flag comes out of nowhere, and it enables Kansas City to be able to win the game. You saw that in the AFC title game. You also saw it in the Super Bowl as well. So I'm wondering what flags will be there for the Kansas City Chiefs during this season. So that's something that you can keep an eye out on to see what happens in those games. But I'm kind of excited for them to take on Detroit. Detroit is a very hungry team. Dan Campbell coaches that team up. He's a little bit crazy. So we'll definitely see what the Detroit Lions will be able to do against the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm actually kind of excited to watch this game, and I'll be watching as well. I got some plans first, but definitely we'll be sitting down to see who possibly, if the Lions could upset the Kansas City Chiefs. So that'll be a very interesting game. But back to the Cleveland Browns. So they traditionally play well against the Bengals. So that could be a game. It's a home game. The crowd is going to be pumped up. Both sides of the ball are going to be ready to go. So it's definitely going to be a game where it could be anybody's game. Not Kansas City, excuse me, but Cincinnati is coming off playing the AFC title game. So, they're one of the improved and best teams in all of football. But the Browns have had their number lately. So we're going to be able to see what they're going to be able to do to the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't think the Cincinnati Bengals are coming in here nervous at all. People are probably still looking at the Browns as being a cellar dweller where they've been at the past couple years. So I think that Kansas City, excuse me, I don't know why I'm stuck on Kansas City. I think that the Cincinnati Bengals, own a little space in the Browns' head or what have you because of how much they've excelled. Joe Burrow is a beast. So one of the things is they kind of have to eliminate him out of the game. And then you have to deal with Joe Mixon as the running back who's kind of been very successful against the Cleveland Browns as well. So Cincinnati has a couple of weapons. And, you have the receivers from Cincinnati because you have an issue right now, and excuse me, um, Denzel Ward in concussion protocol, and this is something that's not good because Denzel Ward, he's had a few concussions. So, one of the things is, you look at him like Tua Tagovailoa and you say, what could possibly be going on with their careers because they've had these concussions. And you don't want it to be anything where it could possibly end his career because he keeps getting concussed. So I don't believe we've had a status update for him, whether or not he's out on Sunday or not. But they're definitely going to be needed on Sunday to be able to contain those wide receivers. You have Greg Newsome and MJ Emerson, who have excelled and been very well at their job. But you're also going to need Denzel Ward to be in there to be disruptive and to throw those Cincinnati receivers off. So that's one of the things where prayers going up for Denzel, and hopefully he'll be feeling better very soon. So definitely keeping an eye out on that. We need him to be we need him to be out there Sunday to cover those wide receivers for Cincinnati who are very good. So we're going to see what happens with him, and hopefully he'll be cleared to play on Sunday because, Denzel has had a host of injuries. So we want him to be better. We want him to be out there performing. We need him to be out there performing. So we're ready for him to come back on this field and be productive. So can't sleep on the Cincinnati Bengals, even though the Browns have had some success against them. You can't sleep on this team at all. Like I said, they have been in the AFC title game against the Kansas City Chiefs. So you definitely want to send a message to the AFC North and show that they're for real and get out here and get this W, which I absolutely think can be done. So the Browns can't go into this game scared. They have to go in there and show that they've made a lot of improvements and that they're ready to go for this football season, because we all know that the AFC North is going to be one of the toughest divisions to play in. I mean, you got the Baltimore Ravens, so you got Lamar Jackson, who signed a new contract, so he's ready to go. He has Odell Beckham as a wide receiver, Jadavion Clowney, who formerly of the Browns, playing on that defensive line. So they kind of revamped a little bit. So that team is definitely ready to prove that they can be the top of the AFC North as well. So that'll be an interesting time matchup that they have against the Baltimore Ravens. So we definitely shall see what's going to happen in the future with that. And then also, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have Kenny. I forgot his last name all of a sudden. But that they have their quarterback, and that's replaced Big Ben. So we're definitely going to see what happens with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They still had a winning season, even though they didn't have a ton of weapons. But one of the things is Pittsburgh Steelers have a great defense. So that defense is always going to be out there. They're always going to give it their all, and they're always going to play. And they split the series with the Cleveland Browns last year, and they're always a tough draw for the Browns, and they don't respect the Browns. So, they go out there and stomp the Browns. So, can the Browns make some noise in the AFC North? And I definitely think that they can. Obviously they have to play well on both sides of the ball, and that can be done with the new improvements. But one of the things is you definitely need, thank you, Kenny Pickett. Thank you. I was about to call him Kenny Pickens. Thank you, George. I appreciate you. Hope you're doing well, Dylan. Hope you're doing well too. Kenny Pickens, yes, thank you, George. But you have, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who, traditionally have beat the Browns, and they don't have a losing record under Mike Tomlin. So they're going to come in here and they're going to be ready to go. And, that's one of the arch rivals and nemesis. So I predict, unfortunately, the Cincinnati Bengals to come out of the AFC North again. They just, have it. They just, are the more complete team. It's going to be, we'll see what happens with Joe Burrow being injured, and take it from there. But one of the things is you're going to need Deshaun Watson to play like the franchise player. You signed him for $239 million. There's been a lot of reports that have came out of camp that he looks really good. So that's something that is a good thing. He's connecting with his wide receivers, and new and old. Him and Donovan Peoples-Jones and Amari Cooper, are forming something special. So you're going to need him to be on target. And one of the things that they said is he's looked crisp and sharp, and that he could possibly return to the Deshaun Watson that played in Houston, the Deshaun Watson of old. And that's who we're going to need. We're going to need that guy that wrecked the league that year with all the passing yards and touchdowns and things of that nature. Obviously he was playing with D Hopkins, but unfortunately D Hopkins did not come here, and he still got some quality good wide receivers. As long as those receivers run the right routes and he can connect with them, I think that this passing game could be something very special. So I'm definitely very excited about that. But you need him to improve. You need him to be better than those 6 games that he played in last year. He was kind of thrown into the rings. So you definitely want him to be that guy that you signed for $239 million. And I think he can be that guy. I think that, he can pass the ball also. You're going to look to him to run the ball as well when plays break down. So I think that's something that he definitely can do. So I'm ready. And, if I was a betting woman, I would kind of bet on the Cleveland Browns to win this Sunday. Don't have a score yet. We'll probably get into that a little bit later. But I'm looking forward to the Cleveland Browns playing on Sunday. I know a lot of people are looking forward to them too. But I'm looking for incremental improvement. Even if they don't go out and win this game on Sunday, I'm looking for the improvement on both sides of the ball that shows that they can compete, that they can get out here with these other teams. We'll go over the schedule in a little bit, but I want them to be competitive, and that's all we ask for because we're going to get to Kevin Stefanski when we come back on the other side of break. But he plays a key role in this as well. So we're going to go ahead and take a break. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports, and we are here talking about the Cleveland Browns who play on Sunday. It is the official start of the football season. It's going to be starting on Thursday night, so that is 2 days from now. So tomorrow will be Wednesday, and the countdown begins. So on Thursday Night Football, you have the Detroit Lions taking on the Kansas City Chiefs, and they're probably playing in Kansas City because it seems like Kansas City gets all the games anyway. So it seems like they are always playing on. They're always playing at home, and I'm just like, I don't know how they get so many games. Hey, Charles, see you out there. George says, could all four teams in the AFC North make the playoffs or win the division? It's that close where anyone can win. I definitely think that two teams could possibly make the playoffs. A couple years ago when the Browns made the playoffs, the Ravens, the Cincinnati Bengals, and Cleveland Browns all made the playoffs. So I think that is something that could definitely happen. Some people have predictions of 11-5. So at 11-5, you're definitely making the playoffs. You need that some of these teams in the AFC North to have a down year. You need Pittsburgh to still be able to find itself with, going through growing pains with Kenny Pickett during his sophomore year. So you need them to not be good. But that defense is stout. So that's going to be one of the issues that you're going to be playing against. So you got to be careful with what happens with the Pittsburgh Steelers, where Lamar Jackson, like I said, I don't root for the Baltimore Ravens at all, but I always root for Lamar Jackson personally, not when he plays the Cleveland Browns, but I root for him because when he came into the league, there was so much racism and prejudice about him not being able to be a quarterback. And I feel like, that was only talked about because because he was a black male trying to play quarterback. So I always want him to prove the naysayers wrong about who he is and what he can do. So, the Baltimore Ravens, their thing is defense as well. So if Lamar can become that pure passer, obviously we know that he's always going to use his legs and that leaves him susceptible to injury. So if he can stay healthy, the Baltimore Ravens might be able to contend. Like, one of the people that's trying to have a comeback year also is Odell Beckham. He's coming off another ACL injury, in which I believe it happened in the Super Bowl. So, he's coming off injury as well. Mark Andrews, that's always a trusted target for him. But, can Odell Beckham be the receiver of old? So that's going to be, something that people are going to have to look out for. So, can Lamar get it done? I definitely think that they can. They always have a good team. I don't know how they do it, but they always do. So we'll see with them. And then, the Cincinnati Bengals. So they're poised to have a big year as well. I think Joe Burrow could have a big year as well, too. Obviously, he's more comfortable. He has T. Higgins and Jamar Chase as receivers, Joe Mixon as running back, and a pretty stout defense as well. So they're going to be the standard right now in the AFC North, and that's not something that you thought. That's not something that I thought that I would really ever say. But right now, the Cincinnati Bengals are getting it done. So far they've been a nemesis to the Kansas City Chiefs, which I like. So I don't think that they play this year, but I definitely think that that would be an interesting matchup. I'm going to check right now and see if the Cincinnati Bengals play Kansas City this season. And if they do, I believe that they would play at home because it seems like the last time that they played them away. I'm checking the schedule now, and I'm not seeing the Chiefs. They play the Chiefs. Somehow they play the Chiefs at Kansas City. So that doesn't surprise me at all. And I just said that they would probably play Kansas City in Kansas City. So December 31st, that's going to be a matchup. So that's going to take place. So be on the lookout for that. So that's going to be New Year's Eve. Also coincide with the college football season. I believe that those games will probably take place on New Year's Eve as well, like they've had in the past. So that could definitely be an interesting day, depending on who makes it to the college football playoff. So looking forward to that. That matchup could be a really good matchup as well. So I think the AFC North kind of is anybody's to take. I don't necessarily see the Cleveland Browns winning the AFC North, but they definitely could be in the mix. If they come out at 11-5, as some people predict, that they're right there. They're in the playoffs, and they could be in a position to win the AFC North. But they also have to beat the teams in the AFC North too, and that's something that they've struggled to do. They've struggled to be able to beat the Ravens. They've struggled to be able to beat Pittsburgh. They've owned Cincinnati a little bit, but even now, they were able to win on Monday Night Football on Halloween, but then, they went into Cincinnati and they stunk it up. So Cincinnati was able to get that win, which they needed to do well in the AFC North. So it's anybody's division. I necessarily don't know. With the improvements that the Browns made, as long as they show on the field, anybody can take this division. I think the front runners probably will. I think the teams that possibly would be in contention is the Baltimore Ravens and Cincinnati. But Baltimore didn't have the best season last year as well, so anything can happen with those two teams. So I'm still looking at Cincinnati to probably win the division, unfortunately, and possibly have a matchup with the Chiefs. But, who knows what's going to happen any given Sunday. The Browns could come out and be balling and beat every team in the division twice. Who knows what's going to happen. But I definitely think that things are looking up for this team because it's going to be important because one of the things is Kevin Stefanski, his job is on the line. I believe that if he doesn't, start winning with this team, it's going to be a problem. And this year could possibly be his last year. If he doesn't get off to some wins, it's going to be kind of difficult going against Cincinnati. But if he doesn't start off with some wins with the schedule, I definitely think that he is not going to be coach of this team. I don't think he's going to make it out the rest of the year, which is a possibility. So, you know, and this team has a gauntlet because they play three teams in their division. They play the Bengals, they play the Steelers and the Browns the first, and the Ravens, excuse me, the first 4 weeks of the season. So that's going to be tough. I don't know of any team that's really ever open like that, and I don't think any other team in the division in any division has their division foes the first 4 weeks of the season. So I don't really know how the NFL did that schedule at all. You know, they have the Titans, you know, at home, and they traditionally have not done well against the Titans. They opened up against them a couple years ago and got railroaded. You know, Mike Vrabel always comes in here, and Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill. So that could be a matchup for the Browns. That'd be their third matchup. So I think Kevin Stefanski has to show immediate improvement because him and Andrew Berry, their jobs are on the line, and I think Andrew Berry could go too. So if he doesn't show any improvement, people say that there's nothing wrong with his play calling, but you know, the players just are not executing. I don't know if he's going to be conservative or open with Deshaun Watson, but also too, you know, with Deshaun Watson, we have to think about the running game as well, and how this team can strike a balance. What are you going to do with Nick Chubb as well? How many times are you going to have him run the ball? Because you have one of the best running backs in all of the NFL. So, you know, how many times are you going to run him and, you know, allow him to, you know, be in those short yardage situations and give him a chance to be able to excel. So I definitely think that that's something that if they strike that perfect balance, that they'll be okay. Um, I definitely think that they'll be fine, but you have to figure out how you're going to use Nick Chubb. And you know, he's one of the best backs in the league. So, you know, are you going to, you know, have him run straight up the middle, side to side? Are you going to, you know, run some screens for him? You know, one of the things is he always says he wants to improve on his screens and catching the ball out the backfield. And now he has a decent quarterback. You know, will Deshaun Watson be able to help him with that? You know, be able to lead him to the ball, and I think Deshaun Watson will. I think that they're going to be a good tandem. And also, you know, in plays breakdown, also Deshaun Watson is going to have to use his legs as well. And Nick Chubb is going to, you know, have to block him. So Chris is shaking his head. Whatever, Chris. Ain't nobody listening to you. But you know, don't forget about Nick Chubb in this offense, and I hope that that's something that Kevin Stefanski doesn't do, and I hope he continues to utilize him. And I think that'll be a good thing. So you know, opening up that playbook a little bit, you know, allow for you finally. You know, Donovan Peoples Jones is a deep threat. Amari Cooper really isn't. You know, you don't necessarily have the fastest receivers, and you know, unfortunately, he wasn't able to develop Anthony Schwartz. So you kind of don't have this. I don't really imagine this team going super deep this season, but you know, we will see what happens with the wide receivers. You know, how many times they're going to be throwing this ball. So I'm looking for a balanced offensive attack, but you know, Kevin Stefanski has to call plays that, you know, play to the strengths of everyone on this team. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does with that playbook. And Deshaun Watson, you know, will have to call some audibles and improvise, and we'll see what happens with that. But you know, I'm definitely thinking that this team. Can go ahead and do what they need to do in this division. Like I was just saying, this is anybody's decision. And Yeah. Oh, okay. So George says last year, Casey and Cincy was in the Queen City. Doesn't seem like that. It seems like the Chiefs always play at home and never play on the road. And I believe Cincinnati won that game, and their mayor got to talking trash. And then, Kansas City was able to beat Cincinnati in the playoff in that AFC Championship game. I think the mayor probably will shut his mouth and won't talk about it anymore. Not like I believe in superstition or anything like that, but he probably will shut up because Kansas City came away with that victory. So shut your mouth and don't talk smack. Don't give anybody bulletin board material. George says a team that we're not talking about is who are we not talking about, George? And make some noise in the NFL. So, George, give me that name of that team that we're not talking about. So we'll see what he's talking about. But we're going to go ahead and take another break. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU at 95.9 FM. We will be right back.
This is Sapphire on WOVU 95.9 FM. KeyBank's mission is helping our clients and customers thrive. As a community-focused bank, they understand they have an important role in helping people, small business, neighborhood organizations, and others in the community meet their financial needs. It begins with making the dream of home ownership a reality. Some see a home of their own as out of reach, but KeyBank is committed to reducing the barriers historically faced by underserved communities by offering responsible lending products and services, educational support, and direct community investment. KeyBank believes in the strength of diversity and that thriving communities are built one open door at a time. Mortgage and home lending products offered by KeyBank are not FDIC insured or guaranteed. Equal housing lender NMLS number 399797.
This message is brought to you by KeyBank and WOVU 95.9 FM. Our voices unite, virtual, our community radio.
Join us on September 11th for the Multicultural Children's Health Expo at the Cleveland Metro Park Zoo, presented by Metro Health. The Expo series is free and no reservations are needed. Entry to the Cleveland Metro Park Zoo is free for Cuyahoga County and Hinkley Township residents on Mondays. Please remember to bring your driver's license or state ID with photo ID or a current utility bill to confirm your residency. The expo will be set up at the Bobbler Hut, located to the right of the Cleveland Metro Park Zoo entrance. Children and their families will be able to interact with Metro Health caregivers, receive important health information, and discover fun ways to stay active and healthy. The Expo Fund will include music, giveaways, hands-on activities, face painting, and so much more. And the first 200 children to participate will receive $5 concession vouchers.
So make sure you bring all your little kitties to the Multicultural Children's Health Expo on September 11th at the Metro Park Zoo.
This message was brought to you by Metro Health, the Cleveland Metro Park Zoo, and WOVU 95.9 FM, Our Voices United, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station.
Welcome back to Her in the Huddle with Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports.
Welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. Always keep it locked right here on your regular radio dial at 95.9 FM. You can always listen to us at the station call letters. And then if you ever want to listen to us online, you can always listen at WOVU.org. I know I listen a lot because sometimes when I'm not in my car, I listen to the station on WOVU.org. And then you can also download the app and you can listen to us on the go. So that's another way that I listen to WOVU too when I'm not home. But you can always contact the station as well at 216-271-0959 as well. So definitely plenty of ways that you can interact with us. We love you. Thank you for listening to us and for your support as well. So getting back, I don't know if George responded about the team that we're not talking about. He said, my team is George. Who are you talking about? Hey, Dylan, see ya. Okay. in my mind, in your mind, can Jerome Ford be a number two back replacing Kareem Hunt, or do we become desperate in signing him back, even as a practice squad member to start? On that Kareem Hunt saga, I don't really know what's going on with that because he was offered like four different teams were interested in him, and he pretty much rejected them. So I don't know what's going on with Kareem. It's kind of weird. I don't know why the Browns let him go. I definitely think that him and Nick Chubb was a great 1-2 punch, but I can understand Kareem Hunt, wanting to be the man somewhere with another team. But he's so good, he's so talented. Even though he's not the tallest player, he's definitely great at screens and catching the ball too. So you can use him a multitude of different ways. So I don't understand why the Cleveland Browns wasn't able to utilize him. Kevin Stefanski, I don't really know what he was doing. And a lot of people, always was just like, why can't they, put each other, why can't you put them on the field at the same time and have them be a dynamic running back combo? And it was something that wasn't done. So I don't really understand why Kevin Stefanski could not do that. I don't know if Kareem Hunt will be desperate to come back on the practice squad because I believe that he is he wants to be the man somewhere else and wants to be a starting running back, which I absolutely believe he can be. He can run the ball. So I think that he definitely can be that starting running back on another team. So it's just, what is going to open up for him. So we definitely shall see with that situation what's going to happen with Kareem Hunt. But yeah, I can hear you. What's up? No, he hasn't been picked up yet. I, yeah, there's been teams that's been interested in him, but do, do you think he's a good back? Did he really lose a step, or did the Cleveland Browns not utilize him the right way? Yeah, I think so. No, I don't know, Chris. Yeah, but you don't think he could be useful in the right situation? No, I guess teams don't look at him as a good back anymore. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You think that they're gonna be Cincinnati this week? Yeah, we have. And that's something I talked about a little bit earlier in the show. But Cincinnati, they're aware of that too, and they're ready for some get back as well. Yeah, some people are predicting 11-5 this year, so that obviously would be something that's great. But who knows what's going to happen because any given Sunday. So I'm looking forward to the Browns, having a good year. So, but that Kareem Hunt situation, who knows what's going to happen? And like you said, maybe he'll get picked up, by another team if somebody gets hurt or something like that. I just hate for him, him being a local guy and stuff like that, for his career to be over. Could be if nobody pick him up. Hey, Leanne, I see you. Hey, Andre, I see you too. I'm about to get to him in a second. Yeah, of course I watched the game. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a break and get back into that Buckeye talk, and we're going to talk some Cleveland Guardians as well. So we're going to be right back. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU at 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
Be present at the dedication of Memorial Garden for John P. Green, the father of Labor Day in the state of Ohio. Hear about Green's life as a lawyer and politician from keynote speaker Judge Charles Patton, who will also speak on John P. Green's legacy, and others will recognize Green's contributions as founding member of St. Andrew's Hospital Church and labor unions, noting his role as the father of Labor Day on September 2nd from noon to 1 p.m. happening at Woodland Cemetery between East 66th Street and 71st. Please enter off Quincy and look for the Memorial Garden in Section 49. For more information, contact Dr. Dorothy at 216-337-9217. This message is brought to you by the Woodland Cemetery Foundation of Cleveland, Ohio, and WOVU 95.9 FM. Our Voices United Radio Star Community Radio.
Join us on September 11th for the Multicultural Children's Health Expo at the Cleveland Metro Park Zoo, presented by Metro Health. The Expo series is free and no reservations are needed. Entry to the Cleveland Metro Park Zoo is free for Cuyahoga County and Hinkley Township residents on Mondays. Please remember to bring your driver's license or state ID with photo ID or a current utility bill to confirm your residency. The expo will be set up at the Babala Hub, located to the right of the Cleveland Metro Park Zoo entrance. Children and their families will be able to interact with Metro Health caregivers, receive important health information, and discover fun ways to stay active and healthy. The Expo Fund will include music, giveaways, hands-on activities, face painting, and so much more. And The first 200 children to participate will receive $5 concession vouchers.
So make sure you bring all your little kitties to the Multicultural Children's Health Expo on September 11th at the Metro Park Zoo.
This message was brought to you by Metro Health, the Cleveland Metro Park Zoo, and WOVU 95.9 FM, Our Voices United, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station.
Welcome back to Her in the Huddle with Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports.
All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports. And before we go ahead and move to Buckeyes and Guardians, George says the NFL team making noise we're not talking about is Jacksonville. And he says something about Trevor Lawrence making a super leap at quarterback and being the quarterback that he was at Clemson. Yeah, there's not a lot of talk about Jacksonville, who did make the playoffs last year for the first time in a long time. So I think Trevor Lawrence will make a huge leap as well, because he knows what it takes to be successful in the NFL, and for that team, an upstart team, to make it to the playoffs and have success and get a win was huge for that franchise. So I definitely think that you might be able to see the Trevor Lawrence that you saw at Clemson, and Clemson lost last night. So that was one of the first times I've ever rooted for Duke in my life. I can't stand Duke, but they were able to take down Dabo Swinney and Clemson last night. So that was a pretty exciting game for them. And that his alma mater ain't looking good right now. So they're definitely going to drop in the rankings because Duke is an unranked team. So forget Clemson. But yeah, I think that Jacksonville can have another winning season and possibly sneak into the playoffs again. So here we go, talking about the Ohio State Buckeyes. I am panicking. My good friend Jonathan Wells told me not to panic. We got the W, so that was the most important thing. But it was an ugly W. It was against Indiana, first game of the season. Usually we open with a 10 opponent, but open with a 10 opponent last year as well, I believe on Thursday night against Minnesota. So we opened against Indiana at Indiana, and I'm not very pleased with what I saw. I feel as if Kyle McCord, this was rough. I got to pull up his stats, but just based on the offense, missing wide open passes, the running game was something that was great for us. So I was good with that. But obviously, they talked about CJ Stroud as well. CJ Stroud, struggled his first couple games until he got a hold of the offense. And is this something that Kyle McCord can do? Because they didn't have a passing touchdown. And one of the things is you have one of the best receiving corps in all of college football. You got Marvin Harrison Jr., Julian Fleming, and Emeka Egbuka. So you got some really good wide receivers there. And for us to have no passing touchdowns was something that isn't very Ohio State like. You had the rushing touchdowns, and I'm good with that. But offensively, Ryan Day was playing a little conservative with Kyle McCord, and I think that was for the best. But, obviously you want this team to loosen it up. You want to see him be able to throw the ball. You want to see this team be able to air it out a little bit and see old Ohio State football. And it's going to be a learning curve for Kyle to be the starter. So, DJ Cristal says we don't watch what Michigan does, but I did not watch the Michigan game, but I'm aware of what they did in their game. They were able to win and win big too. They did not start off with a Big Ten opponent, and that is okay as well. But we're going to do Michigan watch pretty much probably every week this season to see where they're at, because that's going to be a pretty big clash at the end of the year, and you need Ohio State to make the improvements. The defense looked pretty good out there. So that was a good thing, is that defense was able to hold Indiana. And this is a Big Ten opponent too. So Indiana, hasn't been, at the top of the rankings or anything like that. It's been one of the bottom teams in the NFL, but in college football. But this Buckeye defense was able to hold them to 3 points, which is good as well, because your offense wasn't the best. Normally when we play Indiana, it was a blowout. But but it was not a blowout, and they did not put points on the board until the third and fourth quarter, which was a little scary. Going into halftime, I believe they only led by a touchdown. So um, you definitely didn't want Indiana thinking that they had a chance in this game, but I was a little concerned about Indiana and that they could possibly score on the Buckeyes, but obviously they struggled to do that because the defense was pretty stout. But they're going to have to do something about this offense. They're going to have to do something with Kyle McCord. And then you also had Devin Brown in, who did not attempt any passes. So Kyle McCord was named the starter, but he also said that Devin Brown was going to play as well. But really didn't see much out of Devin Brown except for a couple handoffs. So I don't know what they're going to do with that and how they're going to play that, because normally when you play two quarterbacks is never pretty much a winning combination. George says, think about this conference about to disband, has something that the others don't. All the teams in the Pac-12 won this week, so did the Bucks. I don't care it happened, but the W did. And, that's what a lot of people are talking about. At least we won the game, but there was no style points to the win. And that's something that, is a little concerning. We're still playing in the CFP. So, obviously you need style points and, you want Ohio State to have those. But this was the first game. So, we can breathe a little easier. You're going to have two cupcakes that come up, before you go into your Big Ten schedule. Let's see who Ohio State plays. I don't have the schedule memorized, but Ohio State football. Okay. They have Notre Dame the fourth game. So they're going to have to get it together before they go into South Bend. So they have Youngstown State, which is coming up, and they're going to play at Ohio State this Saturday at 12 o'clock. Then you have Western Kentucky University. You face them the 16th. Ohio State is ranked number 5 now. So they dropped down in the rankings. And that's something that I said on Saturday could possibly happen because they didn't blow Indiana out. And it was so funny because I was talking with some people after this game, and I said that they're probably going to drop, and they did. So they are number 5 in the country. This does not look like a team that's going to be able to run the Big Ten, unfortunately. And this team, one of the things I said as well, and it pains me to say this, is this team probably will lose to Michigan again this year. But everybody said this team is going to be fine. Obviously there are some growing pains with a new quarterback, and Kyle McCord is going to be the guy. This is one of the first times in a long time that they haven't had a quarterback that's very mobile. They haven't had a black quarterback, and somebody that can use their legs as well. But CJ Stroud wasn't. I never said that. I never said that. I never said that though. But normally. I'm not saying that because CJ Stroud didn't move around as well. So I was about to say it's okay that he doesn't run the ball. But I mean, he didn't really have, he didn't really have to on, Saturday at all. But, this is one of the first times in a while that, we've had a white quarterback. So it's going to definitely be interesting. And, obviously, CJ Stroud, so that you can be successful without running the ball. At times he had to, but, he's going to be a pass, quarterback first. And same thing with Kyle McCord. I think, obviously he has to get a better grip of this offense and, this team. And, they didn't have any passing touchdowns. So that's very unlike Ohio State. So I think, he also needs to work hard and shine as well. And, is that possible? Absolutely. But, based on how rough this win was, I don't know what I'm going to be able to see them do in the Big Ten. So, they have Wisconsin this year as well. So that's a team that they haven't faced in a while. You know, they got Penn State, but they got Penn State at home. So that's definitely a good thing. But you also need them to go on the road and beat Notre Dame. And that's a Saturday night game in South Bend. And, can they do that right now? They have the two games in which they're facing easier teams, but I don't necessarily know if this team is going to be able to go into Notre Dame and win because it kind of was a close game last year when they played at home. I don't know. Based on what we saw Saturday, I don't know. No, we're not. We're not arrogant. Hmm. And one of the things is too, I think that Ryan Day decided to bring him along slowly. And like you said, we're used to those explosive plays. We're used to, the long ball and stuff like that. So he had 239 passing yards. So 239 passing yards. I'm trying to find his attempts. His attempts was 33 attempts with 20 completions. The average was 7.2 yards. He also had one interception. His longest pass was 49 yards, and his rating was 115.4. So outside of that, he, one of the games he had in 2022, I think, was a game in which it was a blowout. So Chris, I'm gonna repeat those stats for you. I don't know if you have your headset in. Um, but he had 239 passing yards. His completion percentage was 60.6. He had 33 attempts and 20 completions for 239, and average was 7.2 yards and one interception. Okay, trying to find that right now. We got 2 minutes left. Time flew by. Yeah, Chip Tranium had 70 57. It looks like Carries, 31 carries. Travion Henderson had 12 attempts for 47 yards. 8 for 57. And they're not. So that's a problem. But that's it for today. You've been listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM, and go Brownies.